Welcome back to the Flow Friday Sports Show. Time for a wrap of Hume Netball. And wow, as we called it, this league was always going to deliver in the business end of its season. Aimee Riley's on the line to tell us what exactly I'm referring to. Aimee, great to be back with you. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Ellis. It's always a pleasure to catch up.
Great to have you as always. And wow, Jindera and Osborne, 38 all. We said this would be a classic, but even I didn't think it'd be this much of a classic. 38 all. Couldn't separate the two sides, Aimee. Why was that the case?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm pretty sure I did say to you last time we spoke, I didn't know which way it was going to go. And true to form, that is definitely what happened.
That is what you said.
We did the games around. Yeah, and it delivered. I was fortunate enough to actually be commentating this game for a live stream as well. And it was 60 minutes of pure, hard-fought netball. The largest margin for the whole game, either way, was 3 or 4 goals. And the skill level, the tenacity and the defensive pressure from both teams was absolutely phenomenal. There's so much respect between both of them. They match up incredibly well across the court. And it was, as I've mentioned, a high-quality game. And it was great from the defensive pressure, the mid-court, all the way through to the goals in the transitioning of the ball to each team's favour. It was just sensational. A taste of finals, it's an exciting prospect to see what happens in the next couple of weeks if that's the sort of games we're being dished up. Jindera's best on were Emma Wellington, Chelsea Burns and Maggie Thompson, and Osborne's were Claire Gooden and Sophie Edmonds.
So, Aimee, it was as even on the court as it was on the scoreboard, you're saying?
Absolutely, yes. It was a fantastic game, yes. It was the unforced errors were absolutely kept to a minimum. You could tell that both teams really knew their structure, they really knew their game plan, and they understood how the other team was going to respond as well. It was pure netball genius.
In what's been a pretty intense weekend, Lockhart and Giants, not a lot between them in the end, but the Giants getting the win here and probably a very big upset. In fact, I would say the upset of the round.
Yeah, certainly. It was another close game. It was a fantastic contest. And Lockhart, unfortunately, weren't able to maintain that four-quarter effort and they let Giants slip away a little bit. Lockhart's defensive pressure and work to capitalise on opportunities was valiant throughout the whole game. Giants were really happy to take the points in the end and they slowly built their lead across the 4 quarters. Giants maintained control and momentum to actually flip the result from the last time they met. So the last time they met, Lockhart won that game. A special mention also in this game to Victoria Travascus from Lockhart and Priya Colhagen from Giants. They're both 15th players and they showed their talent in the goal circle for A grade in both teams throughout that game. It's fantastic to see young local talent from our club and products of our representative program as well getting a shot in A grade and doing so well fitting in. Lockhart's best on were Hannah Keeley and Ruby Hyde, and Giants were Kayla Robertson, Viv Dayanisi and Priya.
Holbrook limiting CDHBU to just 15 goals in their game. They were the away team on this occasion. 69 the final score for them. Big win for Holbrook as we expected, Aimee.
Absolutely. Holbrook came out firing and CDHBU worked for that 4 full quarters. They had a few girls away, so they weren't at full strength. And probably the margin doesn't really reflect the competitive nature of both teams. Notably, they did double their score from the last time they played, which continues their theme of shrinking margins. So they'll take a lot out of that as well. Holbrook were pleased to be able to work out some of their stronger combinations and keep Powers scoring at bay. They utilised their rotations through the midcourt and continued to keep that speed moving. It was a full team effort that they were pleased with. They utilised any turnovers and their vision down the court to their advantage. CDHBU's best on Maddie Phibbs, Kirsty Schultz and Adeline Corbett, and Holbrook, Jess Rowe, Ollie Schuer and Maddie Black.
In the How Long and Brocklesby-Brumbutic Saints game, there was a sad precursor to the match. Over to you, Aimee. Tell us what went on.
So sadly, throughout the week, Saints lost a wonderful club stalwart and life member in Brianna Livermore. She was a loved, dedicated member of the Saints family and a very well respected and liked member of the league as well. It was an extremely emotional game for the Saints. and they put up an almighty fight, goes down in the end to Howlong. Howlong will be absolutely stoked to get a really, really solid win. I know they were disappointed in their game last round and they've rebounded well. They utilised their speed and transition through the mid-court alongside their shooting height to post an incredible 90 goals, which is a massive score. Howlong's best on were Gemma Coben and Nicola Lane, and Saints were Twara Laria and Lane Grapari.
Henty playing their best netball away to Culcan, 11-63. The final score there, a very big win for Henty.
It was a great win for Henty, and that will give them a lot of confidence heading into this week, given how well Culcan have been playing as well. Henty got a strong start early. They utilised their speed to open up the court, and they extended on their lead every quarter, so it was a really consistent effort. Culcan will be a bit disappointed, I imagine, given the last time they met. The score was 60-22 in Henty's favour, but with such a young, promising team, they will take lessons and they'll look to finish their season really strong. Culcan's best on were Ella Stevens and Zara Honeywell, and Henty's was Olivia Hall.
19 goals separating the Billabong Crows and the Murray Magpies in Urana. This one finished 51-70. How'd you see this game?
Magpies had a really solid first half against Crows and held them well. Unfortunately, they just ran out of legs. They had a few of their A-graders away, and a huge credit to the B-grade girls that stepped up in the absence of their players, as they were quite light on their players. Crows will be really happy to get a solid win in that. Murray Magpies were sitting not too far below the ladder for them. Again, a really solid score. 70 goals across the game is a fantastic effort, and they've put together a really consistent effort in that game, and they'll look towards, as I mentioned previously, hopefully trying to get a run on, and if they do win the rest of their games, they maybe have a shot at making finals depending on what happens in the rest of the game. Magpies best on were Liv Galloway and Paige Mott, and Crows Isabel Bush.
All right, looking at the ladder, Amy, we've got Jindera leading Osborne by 4 points. Now, going back to that game, the drawn result from last weekend, surely Osborne walking away from that the happier of the two, knowing that, with 4 points in what's been a dominant season for Jindera, it looks as though Osborne can, on the day, potentially win in that encounter. So surely they were the happier of the two sides when you look at the ladder now with the run home. Obviously, both sides will finish in the top two comfortably, but Osborne now looking at that 4 point differential, they'll be thinking, well, maybe it's 4 points the difference, but maybe it won't matter when we meet Jindera inevitably. It would appear that way.
I think Osborne and Jindera, and certainly Howlong as well. I've mentioned this before about how strong the top six are, but that top three, they don't take anything away from games and margins. They certainly will be pleased with their effort, but I don't think Osborne would be happier than Jindera because they both know what each other's team is entirely capable of, and Howlong the same. I don't think any of those three teams, and they have been quite dominant over the last few years, would walk into any game thinking this will be a cruisy, and they certainly won't walk out thinking on a good day that team won't be able to beat us. So it's a really exciting prospect to see how the season finishes, but undoubtedly, regardless of the draw, both of those teams are looking to knuckle down because they know that it's still anyone's game.
Well, despite what you've just said, I think both sides are going to win fairly comfortably this weekend, so let's take a look at that. Osborne, their assignment is away against the Brocklesby Burrumbuttock Saints, who have plenty to play for still. How do you see it going?
Saints have had a couple of good wins this year. They've got a great mix of young and experienced heads in their team. I do expect, as you mentioned, however, Osborne are really sharpening their skills getting ready for finals, and I would be very surprised if they don't walk away with the win.
Lockhart, do you expect them to get back to their best away to the Murray Magpies?
Lockhart really need this win to keep themselves in the hunt for finals. They are a great team. They are really well coached, and I know that on their day, they're a force to be reckoned with. Magpies will be keen to make amends after last week, knowing that they really pushed Crows and couldn't quite finish, even with a few girls away. They will want to finish strong for finals. I'm thinking that it'll be Lockhart in that game.
Culcan on their day are capable of an upset when it comes to at least the nature of their performance. Do you expect that they may well provide a stern challenge to the Crows on the road this weekend.
Absolutely capable of an upset, and we only saw it a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? Crows are currently 2 wins outside the 6, with Lockhart and Giants both having tough games this week. All three teams share a very similar percentage. We could see a bit of movement in that 6 to 8 spots over the next couple of weeks. Colcan will be looking to finish their season strong and get a couple more wins on the board to really keep their spirits up and momentum going heading into next season. I do think Billabong Crows will get this game.
May well be a long afternoon tomorrow for CDHBU hosting Jindera. Your prediction there?
Said it a few times. I do really hope, even though we are getting close to the end of the season, I really do hope that we see CDHBU get a win to finish off the season. Unfortunately, I don't think it will come this round. Jindera will be looking to really fire again and continue that momentum after the game of the season last round. CDHBU will be really keen to test themselves. They've improved a lot since the last time they saw Jindera, and I know they've taken a lot of positives out of shrinking their margins throughout the second time round. So I do hope to see this happen again, but I expect Jindera will win.
Holbrook, and how long surely the game of the round, Aimee?
Match of the round for me, absolutely. 3 versus 5, and both within 4 points of each other. It's also very close in percentage as well, it is that time of the season where we start looking at that. If Holbrook can get the win, it will have a huge bonus for them, as they will potentially be able to move up to third spot depending on what happens with other games. So a very exciting prospect. I genuinely, again, don't know which way this will go, but I suspect Howlong might have a slight advantage.
Well, the Henty and Giants game will also be one to look out for. The Giants obviously coming off a very impressive win, and Henty seemingly back to their best, so a hard one to call perhaps.
Henty will be looking to really reinforce that finals position. They'll want to push their percentage as the bottom half of that top 6 starts to tighten up and ensure that they finish really well in their ladder position. Giants will want to win to ensure that they maintain being in the top 6 and ahead of Lockhart, and with Billabong not far behind knocking on the door. Ball speed, transitions, and utilising their strengths, playing to their own strengths, will be the key to get the win for each of these teams. I think Henty might get the chocolates on the day.
Sure is heating up in Hume Netball, isn't it? Aimee Riley, great to catch up. Enjoy all the action this weekend, and we'll speak to you next week. Take care.
Sounds great. Look forward to catching up.